into the code language conversation. If you want to stick with me for it, we doing implementation. Implementation for the code language conversation. So the definition of implementation, the process of putting a decision or plan into effect. Execution, and that's the sole definition of implementation, the process of putting a decision or a plan into effect. Execution. So when you think of implementation, what's the first thing that comes to your mind, bro?
Using what you've learned.
Just using, yeah. Okay. I think of the first thing that comes to mind for me when I think about implementation is it actually makes me think of process. It makes me think about what is it that I need to implement. Like if somebody says, you know, we need to focus on our implementation, the first thing comes to mind is of what, right? What are we implementing? What steps are we taking to get to what end, right? So I'm thinking about what the mission is and then the actual how. Yeah, the how, exactly. And so I think that's the first thing that comes to my mind is process when I think about implementation. And I think that's a good thing, right? Because oftentimes people don't think about process. They think about fastest way to end result, fastest way to resolution, right? And so when you think like that, you don't even think about implementation at all, right? You think about skipping steps. You think about paying for shit. You think about all types of things except for like actually thinking, okay, I'm here, point A. I want to be here, point D. How do I get to B, C, and then eventually to D? What can I implement? What can I use my 24 hours on Monday for? What can I use my 24 hours on Tuesday for? And repeat and rinse, wash, and repeat that I can implement and track progress and actually understand that I'm getting closer to D, you know, the destination, point D, the destination. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
Yeah. I mean, most people try to skip B and C altogether. You know what I mean? They try to go from A to D, you know, no puns intended or anything like that, but they try to skip B and C altogether. And anytime that you skipping steps, you leave screws out, you don't turn it hard enough, you know, it's gonna get stuck. You didn't caulk that area, you know, and it's you can't skip the steps. You gotta go through the process. Like it'd be great, but it's wrong.
So let me take the conversation a step further. Do you feel like human beings, even the ones who are keeping up, right? The early adapters, like I have 3 AI tools that I have implemented into my process for optimal efficiency, right? So I've added AI into my process. Does it add efficiency? Sure, but in the long run, is it crippling? You see,
yes,
like because like I said, I think about implementation, I think about process, but then you add things, you implement things into your process that you can take off of your hands and still get. It's almost like creating the AI would create the skipping from A to D for you in some instances. And so overall, over time, does that become crippling to the human as a whole?
Yes.
What y'all think about this conversation, chat?
What y'all think? Look at shoes. Look at clothes. Look at hats. All of these things that like are tools to help us. The over reliance on any tool diminishes your skill level. It diminishes your ability to take punishment. It makes you softer. It makes you weaker. And it's not always the fault of humanity for leaning on the creature conveniences and comforts that we've created in order to make our lives a little bit more streamlined. But for example, I'll give you a big one right now. I don't know this about you either, so it's a genuine question. Can you drive a manual?
No, not too far.
So you and probably 85 to 90% of the population, maybe more, cannot drive manual vehicles. What manual used to be called was standard.
Yeah. That's
so This is
But
code language.
that's
You know
in
what
America
standard
though.
means.
That's in America. It's still standard in a lot of other
Yes,
countries.
in the other countries, the majority of people are still driving manual vehicles.
Yeah.
The standard. And but I've seen some dude. I dated a girl back when I was only driving manual, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, now I'm blessed enough to where I can have a manual car and have an automatic car that I can cruise in. But back when I was only driving manuals, because it's all I could afford,
Yeah.
you know, and they costed less back in the day, which is crazy. But I would have girls like I'd be like, man, you know, I hurt my arm, I hurt my leg at this sport, or I pulled my hamstring while we was out here doing this. Can you drive me home? I can't drive that. But you got a license. I can't drive that. I mean, it's a small thing, but it's just one small thing that stacks on top of the giant haystack of comforts that we have created.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but also remove some of our acumen on how to move about the planet. You know, self-starting stoves.
Yeah. And that's the thing though. Like when inevitably whichever catastrophe they decide to whichever, all for content creation purposes and entertainment, that's the thing. Because whenever
Brother, come back.
Whenever they decide to implement whatever catastrophe it is that they're going to utilize for global population reduction, all for content creation purposes and allegedly for speculation and entertainment, when that happens, you're going to need to know a lot of the old ways, a lot of the manual ways. You know what I'm saying? How to start a fire with just some wood and, you know, some friction and some hay and some paper. You know, you're going to need to know, you know, I have a couple of, I'm not going to, you know, get a whole game away, but I got a couple of good survival books, you know what I mean? And things like that. Like, you need to have some certain things on hand. You know, you got a house, cool. You got any rope in your house? You have a stack of like bricks or rocks or anything around your house? Do you have extra wood, 2x4s, enough in the shed or just around the crib where you could board up your whole crib if you needed to? You know what I'm saying? Just little things like that. Just one trip to the lumber store when you get your crib, and you could just put that, you stack that up and put it where and it just stay there. It's just there. It's on hand. You got a couple boxes of nails, screws, whatever. You know, whatever that's just right there by it, and that's you should have some type of catastrophe kit.
Yeah.
To some degree, you know what I'm saying? For whatever your living situation is. If you stay in an apartment building, you know, the grid go down. It's gonna be a lot of people knocking on your door that you didn't know lived in your building. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be a lot of people, you know, just little things happening, and you need to be able to fortify yourself in all different types of ways. So I think things that people don't think about, they're gonna have to start thinking about.
I will say
involuntarily.
Since you brought that up, and I'm glad that it was you that brought it up this time and not me, because I feel like I mentioned that way too often. But
let's hear it.
Throughout society, in the history of society, every civilization has had their apocalypse moment. And I'm just gonna say it. All it takes is a little bit of disruption of our power grid, and we'll have another apocalypse moment, even if it's just one city. If it's just one city.
It won't be a city though. I don't think it'll be national.
No, I don't think it'll be, because they're not all connected.
I think regional.
Not connected. It'll be a regional thing. If it happens to be in my region, then I need to be prepared as possible for a lot of different reasons. Not just to get out of there, but if I had to stay there and protect, you know, my home for however long this might last, because, you know, the odds are you're really only supposed to stay for the first couple of weeks if you can help it, and then move on and try to find, you know, a better place to be at. So you'd have to get out of there, especially if communication lines are down. That's food for thought, y'all, on survivalism. Do not stay in the same place for longer than a couple of weeks. And you got to be able to, like you said, board your house up, be able to create heat, you know, be able to run some things, and, you know, have food and fortifications for that, and also, you know, self-defense and defense of your family, and then be able to get out of there. You know, first line of defense, get you a dog.
Yeah, even staying in the same place though. Even standing in the same place, you got to be able to make it look vacant.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it look like ain't nobody in here. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the same time, that might be why passerbyers think it's a good place to try to stay. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, if you make it look like it's inhabited, Mugs might want to come and take whatever it is that whatever it is they trying to take. If you make it look uninhabited, somebody might think they got a place to stay, try to push the door open, and now you got to do what you got to do to ensure that they not the bad kind of people. Because I ain't got time to talk to you to figure it out. I'm telling you right now, when they get it hypothetically off of conversation purposes, entertainment, and hyperbole and all that, none of this is real, you know.
So
hypothetically speaking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the wrong person to run into if you didn't know me already, even if you knew me already.
How close? When was fan fiction?
Man, when was our last conversation? Oh, okay. Well, we ain't spoken. What? I don't know you. It's
do not come to my house.
Yeah,
do not come to my house.
It's over with. Look,
I'm not talking. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, I'm not talking.
When lawlessness hits, do not come to my house because there's no one to save you.
Ain't nothing to talk about is what the problem is. Automation. She said automation has came in clutch. Using it as a crutch is okay, but we still need to know how to maintain on our own. That's a fact.
Can you do me a favor, bro?
Yeah.
Can you bring up that list that I sent you of jobs that will be obsolete in the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years?
What you send it on?
Instagram.
All right. He said, Sovereign said, I think everyone should learn how to drive on a standard first. It makes sense. I never learned it, but one thing I do know, I can run. That's the thing about me. I can run. Like, you got to realize too, like in an apocalyptic affair, like driving and shooting weapons. Driving and shooting weapons is gonna be two things that's only gonna last but for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's only gonna be so much of that. Like, but getting some gas and having gas to just be maneuvering around like that, that's gonna get old real fast.
You got less than 24 hours if you're driving.
And then as far as like shooting, everybody gonna run out of bullets. Once you get past a certain amount of time of survivability, you're not gonna run into people that just got 50 rounds to have a shootout with you. That's gonna be over quick. Like those days of like oh, that's gonna be over. It's gonna be hand to hand. It's gonna be, can you be quiet? Can you be stealth? Can you be quick? Can you handle mutual combat, stuff like that?
You don't want to make a lot of noise.
Yeah. Do you know how to vet properly to know who to team up with? You know, who gonna, you know, all of that. Understanding body language.
Heavy feet bastards gonna be dead, bro.
All alleged for content creation purposes. Yep. But yeah, man, implementation is a big thing. And I think it all ties in with this conversation too, because we're talking about having ideologies, resources on hand to be able to implement certain protocols should crisis ever strike. You know what I'm saying? It all still ties in with the code
even
language.
Without apocalypse, how do you think? So the 99%, I don't know if you ever looked into the psychology of the serial killer, but 99% of them, they knew how to fly under the radar. They was very seldom seen. They was very seldom heard. Nobody knew what they looked like for the most part. They can only give you a vague description. I met him once. You met him once. He lived here for 10 years. Mm-hmm. But I only seen him leave his house one time.
Yeah.
You know, they know how to fly under the radar in an apocalypse situation, or even a grid is down situation. You have to learn how to fly under the radar. Being loud, being boisterous, people seeing you and hearing you, and you got that loud generator running. Let me know that generator running. You got power. That means you got food too.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, I ain't asking to stay at your house. That generator running is cold. We staying here. I ain't.
They watching TV in there. We're in the middle of an apocalypse. You got Seinfeld's greatest hits.
Y'all got DVDs in here.
You got Friday on. What's up? Money Talk. Y'all laughing and ha-ha and he-ing.
Yeah, y'all.
And it's wolves out here.
Yeah, you really thought it was sweet. Oh God, give me everything. Go ahead.
Allegedly.
Go ahead. Go ahead before we have to get. Yeah, don't make me have to make you. Just go ahead and cooperate. Don't. Hypothetically speaking, but yeah, man, that's the code language for the day. Implementation, man.